So please welcome Lawrence.
Mr. Toastmaster, I don't really expect to make as much history, and I'm certainly not hoping to be as much in the spotlight as Lawrence of Arabia, from whom it's evident that I borrowed the title of my speech today, Lawrence of Academia. My full name is Lawrence Zizai Mutim. Sorry for the tongue-twisting second name, Zizai. It means to learn, or to learn from, rather. I was given my second name by my uncle, the eldest brother in my father's family. I suppose as any well-meaning parent, he gave me my name with love and hope. So today, I will attempt to teach you something, and hopefully you may learn something from the life of Lawrence of Academia. Now, I started my childhood. I sort of learned to be somewhat independent. I grew up in a small city in the eastern border of Zimbabwe with Mozambique. It's a small city. Mutare is a small city in a small valley with beautifully vegetated mountains around it. And it has a savanna climate. I don't know if you know your geography that well. And that's where I grew up. So I'm the second son to my father and mother, and have two younger sisters after me. I hardly remember ever playing much with my older brother, though. I used to play with the first of my younger sisters. And we grew up in the time of WWF wrestling. Anyone remember that? The Ultimate Warriors and the Hulk Hogan's and stuff like that. But I saw my younger sister as my punching bag. My father, though, really somewhat left me to discover myself. He didn't really try to control me that much. But of course, my mother would scold me. There was rampant clapping and, ear pulling and things like that. But it was a very nice time, that I discovered to be independent, because my father really left me to discover myself. So as I grew up, I really channeled that energy, towards sport. And around when I was 8 to 9 years, I got involved in tennis a lot. This involved also a lot of traveling and around the country to play tournaments during holidays. But since I grew up in a relatively modest family, my parents couldn't come along with me in most cases. So I really learned to deal with the emotions of achievement, to celebrate when you've won something, and also to deal with the emotions of disappointment when you've lost and you've encountered failure. So, as a young man, I really learned to be somewhat independent. I also, when I was around 12, it's very common in Zimbabwe to go to boarding school for high school. And so I was sent along to boarding school when I was 12 years old. And there, you are thrown into this sea of other boys. It was a boys-only school. And you learn to manage things on your own, and you really discover yourself. If you want to be scruffy, unreasonably scruffy, or to learn to be who you are when there's no pressure to try to be accepted by girls or something. So it was a relatively interesting time how I grew up away from home and spent 6 years in high school. In the later years of my high school, I was actually looking forward to going to school rather than spending time at home. But During that time, I also learned to be very, you can say, to follow my heart. I was still playing tennis from around till about when I was around 15. But I took a major step, I took a major decision, and I decided to quit tennis to follow a new passion at that time, and it was mathematics, interestingly enough. I had discovered that I had a little bit of a knack for the subject, and so I wanted to channel my energy towards that and to apply myself more and to see where it would take me in future. I had a dream of becoming an actuary. I don't know if you know actuaries. Yeah. So when it also came to studying a bachelor's degree now, and I had finished my high school, I had relatively good grades. I wasn't that brilliant, but I took the not so popular decision to do applied mathematics rather than, more conventional careers like accounting, become a pharmacist, or a chemist. My father wasn't really happy about that. We had lots of fights over it. But I stuck to my guns and I followed my heart, and so I took on applied mathematics. You can say during that period, that was the birth of Lawrence, of academia. When I went off to pursue my degree, it was in another city, 600 kilometers away from home. And during that time, I really spent so much time away from home that I really didn't mind being away from home anymore. So when I did finish my bachelor's degree with a relatively good grade as well, as for something that I had been wanting to do, I took on the decision to look for something that's more challenging, and I wanted to experience more. I felt I didn't really know enough. I found myself in Europe doing a master's, and I spent a year each in Netherlands and Austria. I was naturally very excited to leave for Eindhoven in the south of the Netherlands, but I had no idea of the challenges that I would meet. So you can say, as I was growing up as a young adult, I sort of started to learn to become a dependent on others. I was now far away from home, and was spending 2 years away from home, and never to see your mother, never to see your father, never to have spend some time at home or in with familiar people around you. And I felt that at that time I needed to depend on others. I needed people to lean on emotionally, people who were there with you physically at that time. So it was that as someone who had thought that I could handle everything, really everything on my own, I had to be learning to be depending on others. And so I didn't really change the other companions, of course, like linear algebra and differential equations. And in the end, I found myself here in Australia and still relatively changed the companions to, I don't know, hyperspectral images and computer science, God. But still, I am very much involved in academia. So I'm still relatively in the same situation, trying to learn how it means to accept others and to depend on others. And that's one of the reasons why I joined Toastmasters. Thank you.